The DNA Diaries, a page 256 library publication, a book authored by Denny Roberts Ameke, and read to you by Charlotte Mugisha. Story 1.
Cloning and the Future. Chapter 5. The Secret Family. Blood runs thicker than water, but secrets can run deeper than both. End quote. Liam O'Connell. The following morning, Helen didn't wait for answers from James. She couldn't. Not after what she saw in their children's room last night. Not after the journal confirmed what her instincts had been whispering to her in the past 3 years, that James was not just a liar, not just a manipulator, but a man living multiple lives under one name. She left before dawn, moving out of the house while he slept, or pretended to. She took only one thing, the journal. Everything else, the children, the lies, and the life, she left behind, at least for now. Her first call was to Rebecca. It rang twice, then... "I was wondering when you'd call," Rebecca said. "You knew this would happen," Helen retorted. "Tell me the truth, Rebecca." There was a pause. "Meet me at the old cafe on Lumumba Avenue," Rebecca replied, "and bring the journal along." Rebecca was already seated when Helen arrived, her eyes scanning the streets before meeting Helen's gaze. "You're not the second wife," she said without preamble. "I'm not even sure anymore if you're the third." Helen stiffened. "What are you talking about?" Rebecca slid a file across the table. Inside were documents, a marriage certificate dated 2019, a hospital record from Mulago, and a pregnancy scan, all under the name Mrs. Mwanda. "He married again," she said, voice low. 5 years ago. Helen stared at the documents as if they might burn her fingers. "No," she said, "that's impossible. We were together 5 years ago. He never left Uganda." Rebecca leaned forward. "Yes, he did," she countered. "He just told you he was going to Kigali for a regional engineering conference, but he wasn't." She pulled out a photo of James in 2019, standing beside a woman in a white dress and smiling, next to Helen's own wedding album, which showed James wearing the same ring and the same suit, same scar above his eye, but different bride. Helen's stomach twisted. "Where is she?" she asked through tightened teeth. Rebecca stared into her eyes and then finally said, "Buziga." The second house. By that evening, Helen stood outside a modest home in Buziga, heart pounding like a war drum. No lights on upstairs, only silence. She knocked once, then twice. The door slowly opened, and a woman stood there, in her late 20s and a pregnant belly peeping beneath a silk dress. She looked at Helen with no surprise, just calm recognition. "You must be Helen," she said. Helen swallowed hard. "And you are?" The woman smiled faintly. "Lydia Mwanda." Helen flinched. "There is no Lydia Mwanda." The woman stepped aside. "Come in," she said. "He told me you'd come eventually." Inside, the house was neat and normal. Family photos lined the walls, toys scattered the floor, and a baby playing sport at the corner of the living room. And then Helen saw it. The wedding photo hanging on the wall. James and Lydia, 2019. The same year he'd planned to take Helen to Mauritius for vacation, but later aborted. She turned back to Lydia. "How long have you been married?" 5 years, Lydia said quickly. "That's not possible," Helen snapped. "We were married in 2010. He's never remarried." Lydia tilted her head. "Oh, Helen," she said softly. "He has, 3 times. Helen froze. 3? Lydia nodded. "He told me about you," she said. "He said the third wife always comes looking." Helen staggered backward. "Third?" Lydia gestured toward the corridor. "There's someone else you should meet." She opened the bedroom door. Inside, a little girl sat reading on the bed. 5 years. Has James's eyes, his nose, his jawline. Perfectly familiar. Lydia placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is Naomi," she said, "our daughter." "She's my first." Helen felt the air leave her lungs. This wasn't a family. It was a pattern. She looked at the girl, at her mother, and then at the ultrasound photo taped on the wall. Is she... Helen's voice cracked. Is she yours? Biologically? Lydia gave a soft laugh. But she's my girl, she said. I gave birth to her. Helen's hands shook. James had done this before. He'd said the same exact words, built a life, created a child, lived a lie, and now he had done it again. They sat across from each other in the dim lights of the living room. Naomi had gone back to her room. Lydia poured tea. You think he lied to you, she said. But he lied to me too. Helen looked up. What do you mean? Lydia exhaled slowly. When we met, he told me he was a widower. Said his wife died in an accident in 2016, that he'd been alone since. Helen's mouth went dry. I was married to him on May 30th, 2010. Lydia nodded. I know. He kept records, photos, even your letters. She stood up, went to the bedroom, and returned with a thick file. Inside were copies of Helen's old emails to James, birthday cards, photos, and even a scan of their marriage certificate. He loved you, Lydia said quietly, but not enough to stay. Helen's chest tightened. Why would he do this? She whispered. Why build another life? Lydia leaned forward. Because he needed to test something. Helen frowned. Test what? Lydia paused for a minute. The replication process. Silence. Then, what does that mean? Helen asked. Lydia closed the file. It means, she said, voice barely above a whisper, that he's not just building families, he's perfecting them. Before Helen could speak, her phone buzzed. A message from James. Don't believe anything they say. They're part of the program too. Come home. We need to talk about subject number 7. She looked at Lydia, then at Naomi, who had returned to tell her mother she is scared in the room. She looked at the photos hanging on the walls and then back at the girl. You're not real, Helen whispered, her voice barely audible. Naomi smiled. But I am real. And in the dim light, Helen saw something that chilled her blood, a birthmark on the girl's neck, in the shape of a crescent moon, just like her son, and just like Liana Chitende.